You are well aware that what all uh, topics that to be covered under if someone defines what is a computer. So we'll not go into the bits of computer organization, that what is computer, how it is organized. We'll just see that what all functionality to be included, and with that we start. So you know that computer, you give some input, you get some output, and that is the main source where you start computing. So for example, if it is calculator, you give certain number, it calculates and gets the output. So user is always interested in giving the input and getting the output. But as a computer organization, we should understand that how the things are organized, how the data is transferring, and what all in data hazards, pipelining, clock cycle. You'll study each and every basic detail, that what is happening with the data and how you can tweak the data in order to get the better performance of the system. Because these days, we are talking much about performance. When we go and run our deep learning or any machine learning or heavy programs, for that we need GPUs, we need parallel programming in order to process the things faster. Even the quantum computing concept has come. So all this infrastructure, when we wish to study and uh, we wish to make certain programs that run faster, for that we need to understand how the things are organized and how they are interacting with each other, so that we can optimize them. If you're going for any further studies, let's say MS or MTech or then again PhD, then you have to optimize each of your algorithms that you design. So there could be two things that you can optimize, uh, the two ways that you can optimize. One is to see whether you can decrease the time complexity or maybe the space that is occupied by the program. That's how you can easily optimize, that you study in your data structure and algorithm. Whereas when you wish to optimize the architecture of the computer, then you have to look into details at hardware level. So this hardware is a mixture of the software, that means the kernel and every part that we design on hardware, and the architecture of the hardware. So if you see the, how the entire PCP is designed, motherboard is designed, that will not include in the computer organization. That is part of electronics and could be done by the electronics engineer. But when they design the hardware, our software should be good enough in order to compete that hardware. Suppose if a hard uh, electronics engineer has designed a nice GPU, let's say from NVIDIA they have designed, but there is no program which could take that GPU, which could utilize the power of that GPU, then there is no utilization of that hardware. So again, these things need to go hand in hand in order to get the best performance. And for that, we are not directly going to GPU. Even this course of your entire syllabus will not cover the GPU, but still it will cover mostly the part how it has all started, and it will take you up to there, and you can easily recognize that okay, that's how the clock cycle, that's how the instructions are flowing. There is some pipeline which is followed, there are data hazards. So all these things you will study. How the program is executing, you know that there is a programming set of instruction, and once the set of instructions are written, then they flow from one to other. Let's say it is going to RAM, you know that if it is running, it comes to the RAM, and the program, your microprocessor starts processing it, and it starts going for the execution. So what is basically program execution? the program that is written, that set of instructions which are written, so it will processed by microprocessor, and those set of instructions will be executed in order to perform certain action. What it, the main objective of the program execution, whatever the input is given, it will process and it will give the output. So the objective is to get the output, and program is the set of instructions which one can compute and work with the data. So program generally consists of two things. One is instruction, which could be binary sequence with operation. So binary sequence with operation means everything will be in binary sequence 0 1 form, and it has got certain operation with which the opcode is attached. Now what is opcode? So it is just the number of binary operation, like it has to two binary numbers have to, we have to add those. So addition is the operation code which is attached, or you have to move command. So all those commands are there with which you have already studied under microprocessor. I hope you have. Did you?
Ma'am, we haven't studied the subject microprocessors. We
Microprocessor.
haven't.
Okay. So in
Uh,
micro
but we did,
uh,
but we did a little bit of it in computer architecture, CSA.
architecture. So don't worry about it. It is only the assembly language you can think of. If you wish to move a command, then what you do is mov, or I can do one thing for you. I'll arrange one lecture. I'll record one lecture, which is, or I'll share one lecture which is already there on YouTube. Just 10 to 15 minutes video I'll see, and which describe how the microprocessor and what is this commands and everything works like. You just watch that, so that whenever I say that it is operation code, or maybe if it is move command, how it is working, what a type of register, when it is getting stored into the microprocessor, it has got all registers. So I'll brief you about that, that there are certain memories, like one is your secondary memory. When you store it in secondary memory, you have lot of space. Whereas when you go to the RAM, it has got little less space. So if memory, secondary memory is in terabytes, your RAM is in GB, let's say it is 16 GB. What is the difference? When you search the secondary memory, it will take time. Whereas if the command is getting executed in RAM, so every instruction or the data has to be loaded to first to the RAM in order to execute it. So whenever the program is coming into execution, it is stored in the RAM. It is just the execution part. And when you wish to process it, then it will go to the microprocessor. So microprocessor further require certain memory to store whatever there is in execution. So in microprocessor, you have certain register. Those registers, I'll share the architecture of 8085 because that is the very basic one, and that is what we start microprocessor with. We teach 8085, 8086 architecture, although these are the first microprocessors to be. And right now, what is the microprocessor that we are dealing with in our system? Maybe i7, i9 we are going with. So some of us have i5. So all those latest version, somewhere it got started and the architecture is defined. Those are the basic architectures because they had some basic operation. Once you learn that, you can easily understand this. So I'll share that video with you. Now, why that register is important? Because that is the fastest memory. Then why can't we use registers as a secondary memory? One thing is those are expensive. Secondly, if we make it so large, then again it will take so much time. And microprocessor within nanosecond, microsecond, it has to work. Why the microprocessor was named as micro? Because it was working in microseconds in in late 80s. Now it is working even faster, but as the 8085 was working in microsecond, micro time, micro unit, so it was known as microprocessor. Although it all started there, but now we can just call them processors because they are even taking lesser time than that. So the architecture is growing bigger and it is getting faster. That is why we are getting and increasing the performance. And as the data size is becoming larger and larger, so better micro processors are required. So processing speed is required. Yeah. So a program consists of instruction, which is a binary sequence with operation. We believe that you know the binary sequence of operation, and as you do not, so I'll share the microprocessor, some of the code. Next is your data. So data is again the binary sequence with a value. So generally instruction with operation, data with value. That's what we do. So instruction means plus, data means 2 and 3. So here we get the 2 and 3 value to be added because we have given plus. Whereas plus will be provided in terms of add. Add itself is a mnemonic code and it will have certain binary sequence for add. Then why are we using add? Because to human it is easier to understand the add. Div means division, sub means subtraction, whereas if I give you that for addition there is a 0 1 0 0 0 1. We are not good with the sequences, but the microprocessor, any processor, is good with the sequences. So that is why we provide binary sequence, and that is how their architecture is designed. Whereas the human, for human readability, we go with some mnemonics code for same binary sequence. So there should be some assembler which will again convert this mnemonic code to the binary sequence. So yeah, that is it. Opcode, now you know it is a binary operation. It could be any binary operation. So for example, in C language, you must have studied that convert 1 into, let's say, BCD or hex or binary. All those conversions you have done. So likewise, we have certain kind of, system that will be used here as well. Like for example, the numbers which are coming, that means we are dealing with binary sequence, whereas few storages will be done in hex, few of the time will be doing using BCD. So you should be aware about it, that our microprocessor is taking so many types of following many types of number system, and you can always revise once again this number system. Now, what is instruction? So it is a binary sequence which is designed inside the processor to perform certain tasks. Like there is a binary sequence, we bind it with the operation, or you can also say it as opcode, and it will be binded and it will perform certain tasks. So it is as easy as you are adding two numbers. When you take the data, so it is a binary sequence which is associated with value based on positional weights. So there will be some values, let's say 2 and 3 are provided. So of course the binary sequence of 2 will be provided, and then again for 3 you have to provide the binary sequence. So 2 3 is decimal system. When you convert into binary, you see the number. And also try to keep a this scientific calculator with you, where you can easily convert into oct, binary, hex, decimal. Although we are not directly dealing in this subject with those sequences, but you can always keep it because there will be some calculation that will be done by us. Next, the computer contains, so today is just the introductory part, which will cover the first uh, topic in the handout that I have shared with you. From next time, I'll start with the real syllabus. So I will mark every time, I will mark that from which book you have to go through it if you wish to read it from the book. And you can always follow the notes that I'll be sharing. And from where we are going to study, I'll let you know about it. So the computer consists of three parts. As we know, it is CPU, that means central processing unit. So when we say CPU, it is only the processor which we mean now. So do not think CPU also is like CPU also consists of so many other things like your RAM, ROM, and other peripheral devices. It also consists, there is entire unit, but we are not talking about the box that we see from outside. Now we are going with the processor. Processor has got its memory, which is storage space. Memory, there could be many hierarchy of memory, like there is secondary memory, there is primary memory, which is RAM, there could be cache memory, then there could be memory for registers, which is for processor, which are register. Also, there are basic flip-flop. Flip-flop can consist of either 0 or 1. Many flip-flop, when they are merged, they are, giving rise to register. Then again, there could be some faster memory like cache, but they are a bit expensive. There could be slower memory like, secondary memory like hard disk, but which are much less costly, but which are slow. So that is how the trade-off is done between the memory. We require more memory, so we store it in hard disk, whereas to process it requires very fast memory, because very fastly, if it is calculating everything in micro or less than micro unit, then one thing is sure, that we have to provide data at very fast rate. And to provide data to the CPU at very fast rate from secondary memory is not possible. That is why we have hierarchy of memory. Next is external communication, which is very important. For example, you are communicating with two, let's go with microcontrollers. You have a Raspberry Pi, you have one more microcontroller, let's say Arduino, and you wish to interface these two microcontroller in order to make certain uh, project. Let's say it is robotic arm, so you wish to make the control the entire robot with the movement. So the bipedal walk could be managed by Raspberry Pi, whereas the hand movement could be managed by Arduino. So when you have to interface these two microcontrollers, you require some external communication. That external communication can be provided with I/O. One more thing, if you do not understand this example, you can simply understand when you have a simple computer, you connect it with the pen drive or you connect it with HDMI cable. So all those ports where the external communication is being done, that is known as I/O. So I/O handler and everything is very important, and it is required in the computer. Now let's understand how the memory is organized. Memory organization is done in this way. There are control signal. So this is the memory. It is divided into the cell and it has got two control signal. One is read, the other one is write. So there are basic two operations that we can do. You have studied file handling. So in file, either you can read or you can write. That's what we can do from the memory. Either it is memory chip, means it could be RAM, ROM, it could be secondary memory, it could be cache memory, any memory. Two control signals should be sent. One is either read, that means we wish to seek the data or access the data, whereas write means we wish to store the data or we wish to store the instruction. Now this read write could be data or it could be the instruction, either thing. In fact, even instruction is also a data, but information is attached that on the data that we are sending, this instruction data need to be acted upon that data. So which becomes the opcode. So it has to perform certain operation on the data. So the program is initially present in the memory because its functionality is storage. So yes, this is simple like line. Then memory chip is divided into equal parts known as cells. Now memory cells are identified with unique number known as address. So every memory cell will have a unique number which is your address. Like you can take example, these are your friends which are staying at your this is MUJ hostel. So here is room number 1, here is room number 2 of your hostel. This is room number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So every room is actually numbered. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That is how we identify a room. Likewise, memory cells are also identified and they also have an address. It could be a binary address. It could be in BCD format. I'll show you how the memory address looks like. And next is memory cell recognize two control signal, that is it indicates type of operation. So there could be two type of operation, read or write. Every cell has got unique number which is known as address. Now the one is if CPU is communicating with the memory, so it will give the memory request. Now the memory request is given. So you have operating system this semester?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So you'll be studying this that how the there will be one virtual memory. Virtual memory is nothing but your secondary memory. You will have a primary memory. Primary memory is nothing but your RAM. And you have one CPU which will generate the request. So when CPU is generating the request, this look ahead table, there is always a look ahead table through which the request will go to the RAM, and through RAM the request will go to the secondary memory, and from secondary memory it will come to the RAM. So whenever I say the memory request is done by CPU, it means there is a processor which requires one thing, which is data and instruction to process. In order to give the instruction and data to the process, to the memory request, it will generate the address. That means, for example, if I have to take or if I have to give certain notes to room number second from room number 2 student, I have to generate a request, let's say on my WhatsApp group, that a person from room number 2 kindly come and take the notes. So that is how I give the request. Likewise, the CPU will generate the request. What will be the request form? It will be address and control signal. Address means that from this particular location, at this particular location, you fetch the address. Now you might be wondering how the processor knows that what is the address. Okay, fine, it requires the data, that's fine, but how it knows the exact address that to be generated? So for that, you should know how the instruction cycle works. Like you have to fetch the instruction, then the execution will take place. For that, you have to understand the concept of linking, binding. This is concept at RAM level or at program level, that how the linking of program will be done. Like for example, you take your C program. I know you understand this C language very clearly. So when you are sending a C program, you are calling certain libraries. Let's say you are using py function, and for py you have certain library, and then you have header files. So C program is stored at your secondary memory. When you wish to execute that program, then you press F5 or F9, or you click on run. As soon as you compile the program, you have studied that there are many static binding operation, there are dynamic binding operation. Static binding means when you compile, the binding will be done. Means header file will be binded by the program, which suggests that whatever is there in the program, it will start calling the header file, and it will say, this is my entire program. So header file, if you write .h file, any file that you use in your C program, then that file should be expanded in order to understand, okay, this is all the program code is written. Or you may use any other code. Let's say there are two C files, so you wish to use one file from the other you are calling, or maybe one function from the other. So all this thing calling need to be binded. Function calling is generally binded at static at compile time, whereas dynamic binding is provided at runtime. So when you are running, the entire C programs fetches or comes to the RAM. Now RAM itself has got so many algorithms, first in first out, that you might be studying in your operating system, or maybe in this week you will cover first in first out, short job first. There are many such, round robin. So with that way, from all those ways, one of the program that you are using the algorithm in the operating system, one of the program will be fetched or will be sent to processor. Now processor will process it, but it cannot process the entire thing, because you can understand that the program size could be large enough, and whereas register size is in bits or is in bytes. That means from GBs you are sending certain data to be processed. So it now your microprocessor knows the entire address to be processed. It will take the first one, it will process, store it somewhere. Maybe if the data is very large, it will push back to the RAM, take the other, it will process, push back to the RAM, it will process, push back to the RAM. So it means that there are certain three operations that are happening. One is from virtual memory, the data is coming to the RAM, and from RAM, the data is sending to the microprocessor. So these memory you always have to keep in mind. One is virtual memory, one is RAM, one is microprocessor, and that is how it knows that, okay, this entire thing need to be fetched and executed. Now whatever I have explained you, I'll explain you diagrammatically in the notes, but in the coming classes. So maybe we are at 11:35 we have to stop the class. So in 3 minutes I'll just let you know about some configuration. So memory chip configuration is number of bits that is required to access the memory. So if memory is let's say here it is talking, the example is given in kilobytes, 64 kilobytes, but now we are dealing in GB, gigabytes. So kilobyte means 10 raised to the power let's say 2 raised to the power 10, whereas megabyte means 2 raised to the power 20, gigabytes 2 raised to the power 30. 8 means it is either, it could be byte addressable. If it is written 8 means byte addressable, or it could be word addressable. What are those? I'll let you know about byte addressable and word addressable. So 64 means number of memory cell present in the memory chip. So 64 means 2 raised to the power 6. You can write 2 raised to the power 6 as 64. And kilo means 2 raised to the power 10. So 10 plus 6 is 16. So you have got 2 raised to the power 16 cells. So these are the cells. So like this, you got 2 raised to the power 16 cells in the memory. And those 16 cells require some address bit. So address bit could be, it could be a 16-bit address. 16-bit address can be generated like this. So from this is the minimum one. That means from 0, your memory address always starts with 0 and it ends with n minus 1, 2 raised to the power n minus 1. That means all ones you'll get. So this is a 16-bit address. This is the minimum one. This is the maximum one. Now, based on the limited, we cannot recognize this. If I tell you that 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1 and all this 0, we won't be able to recognize it. So that is why binary address is always converted to hexadecimal. So this is the hexadecimal number of your memory. Hexadecimal means out of 16. It could be like octa means from 8 we can, or from 16. So depending upon the address space that we wish to define with. Generally it is converted into hexadecimal address space. So the minimum would be 0000. That means out of 16 now you have to deal with 4. And then the maximum one you must be knowing from 0 to 9, then you have A, B, C, D, E, F. You remember this? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So that is how you define the address space. And here we stop our class at 11:35. I think we have to go with. Next we'll study tomorrow, right? From here, 1 second, I'll just download your attendance now. So here I take it. I hope. Yes, I got. So you can leave the class now. Thank you, students.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay.